Bell Time by Sophie Tuvey. Chapter 12. At the interval, the kids queue up for ice cream, and I dash to the ladies to avoid Michael. I splash some water on my face. What is wrong with me? It must be the stress. I haven't felt a spark like that with someone since, well, for a long time. It makes me feel like I'm 16 again when I first started going out with Jamie. Being next to him felt amazing, hence why I was his shadow for the 2 years we were together. He went through intense mood swings, but when he kissed me, it was like the finale of a fireworks display, and all was forgiven. But it's not enough to just have chemical attraction, I remind myself. Don't let your stupid, stress-warped brain imagine that there's something between you and Michael. Dina's words about him trying to get inside my head seem very appropriate right now. Back in the auditorium, he's holding a carton of strawberry ice cream against his cheek. Is it painful? I ask guiltily. Sorry, my arm slipped. It's fine, he says, then holds the ice cream out to me. Would you like it? Don't you need it? I ask suspiciously. No, it's okay. I maintain my stare. Is this a truce? I figured given how much you love pineapples, you would like strawberries too. I take the ice cream. Well, I suppose it's healthier than chocolate. He gives a laugh, and then we hear the announcement that Act 2 is about to begin. I eat my ice cream and reflect on the fact that Michael Chase just gave it to me. And not an insult in sight. Well, maybe a touch of banter. Talking of touching, I feel compelled to lean more to his side like a magnet, an irresistible draw. My arm is on the armrest next to his, and I keep shifting uncomfortably, hoping to brush against him and see if this weird chemical tension will dispel or react. I shift my eyes to sneak glances at him, and I feel a jumpy excitement that he's watching me too. But we both just have to sit here and do not touch. Do not touch. The play is well acted and builds to its inevitable conclusion. As we all applaud enthusiastically, I feel a huge sense of relief. This wasn't such a bad idea after all. As we walk back to the bus, Connor is talking at me about all the parts he enjoyed the most. Thing is, miss, she should never have trusted the posh woman. Rich people do what they like, and they don't care about anyone else. Some rich people, I correct, although it's tempting to agree with him. I don't think Mrs. Johnston should have given her own baby away, Rose says. Even if you're poor, families need to stick together. But Eddie had much better opportunities with the Lyons family, Michael says. He went to university, got a good job. He stole his best mate's woman, then he got shot, Connor says bluntly, and I snicker with a sense of triumph. That's what I love about Blood Brothers. Kids from our estate get it. For once, it isn't all about white middle-class people, although it looks like Michael may have drawn a different moral from the story. Looking at how much the group has enjoyed this show, I make a resolution to do this more often. Maybe not the part where I elbowed Michael in the face. It's dark and the traffic is heavy as I drive the bus out of the city centre. Somehow the atmosphere feels different now. As much as we all want to get home, it's not the end of the world if we're delayed. I'm looking forward to telling the head how well everything went when I next see him, which quite possibly may be at my interview for the Hod role, if I get one. How are you feeling about the job? It's like he's read my mind. I shrug. I'm trying not to think about it too much. There's a long pause. I wasn't sure you'd be interested. He turns back to look out the window to avoid my scrutiny. Why? I wonder what he's going to say next, what damning assessment he's going to give of my capabilities. He shrugs now, pretending to be casual. It's such a data-driven role, all those spreadsheets, meetings with the head. I just didn't think that was your thing. I gulp. I can use Excel. Why do I even have to justify myself to him anyway? I'm not saying you can't handle it. I just think your strength is more the pastoral side. Is that because I'm a woman? My tone is razor sharp now. The effect of the ice cream has totally worn off. No. He clearly thinks I'm some kind of hippie teacher who's all about peace and love. I remember the first time I met him with the cat poster. Does the cat poster reinforce this? Perhaps. But I should not have to take down any cat posters just because of what some hotshot thinks about them. You're mad at me again now, aren't you? He says. I employ the classic tactic of ignoring him. Yep, definitely mad at me. I flick the radio on to drown him out and start pressing all the different buttons to get the right station. You focus on driving, I'll sort the radio, he says, waving my hand away. It's fine. I jam some more buttons, swerving the bus and grinding the tyres on the lane markings of a hard shoulder. Just drive the bus, he says with gritted teeth, holding onto the dashboard again. The engine starts making a spluttering sound. Check the fuel gauge, he commands. Oh no. I don't have to say anything. I can feel him reading my expression. How bad is it? He asks and starts tapping on his phone to find a petrol station. We'll make it, I say, annoyed at him using a map when I've driven down this road hundreds of times. I know where the garages are. Didn't you check it before we left? It's exactly the sort of "you're so stupid" comment that I can't stand. No, Michael, I was too busy trying to drive and making sure that we had the tickets and the consent forms and everything else. But thanks for your help, I snap. Pull over, he says. It's a motorway, I glare at him. Who wants to be on the hard shoulder with a bunch of kids? We can make it to the exit. The sputtering sound continues. Really? His hands are on the dashboard again. We hurtle past a sign which says exit half a mile. I press down on the accelerator. Michael looks like he's on some kind of thrill ride about to be dropped from a great height into an abyss. He's muttering something to himself which could be a self-help mantra or praying. I'm not sure which. I move into the exit lane, take my foot off the gas and coast down the ramp. Like a perfectly executed driving test manoeuvre, I pull the bus into a bus stop just as it grinds to a complete halt. Michael and I both heave sighs of relief. What's going on, miss? Why have we stopped? Okay, everyone. I turn to face them. We've run out of fuel, so I'm going to have to ask you to ring your parents to collect you from here. It isn't too far from the school. If you haven't got a phone, let me know, and I will call them. The kids all start making calls, and I feel Michael staring at me. I turn back to him. Yes? Going to tell me how this would have all been different if you had been in charge? Just wondering how we're going to get back. It's a fair point. We'll have to wait for the kids to get picked up, then walk to a petrol station, fill up a carton, bring it back here. Can't I just go now and get the petrol? He asks impatiently. Ratio, I reply. He thinks for a moment. What if I take some of the boys with me? You could. Do you think we should ring Roger? Roger is the trip's coordinator. This basically involves him clicking a button to authorise everything on the online system the county uses. He's pretty hands-off. Roger is not doing that role anymore, Michael says awkwardly. What? David's taken it off him while he undergoes a capability review. Oh, great. David's picking the incompetent staff off one by one. Nice of you to tell me. So who do we ring? It would be David. We both look at each other. Well, this is his opportunity to drop me in it, that's for sure. There's a pause. He's not picking up his phone yet. I don't think we need to ring him unless we can't sort this out ourselves, Michael finally says. Let me go with some of the boys, we'll get the fuel, and hopefully the parents will start arriving. Look, if you go through the underpass, there's a fuel station only 5 minutes walk away. I show him a map on my phone. Great. He unbuckles his belt and opens the minibus door. Right, I want 4 of you to come with me to the petrol station. Stan, Marlowe, Lewis. Can I come, sir? Connor waves his hand in the air. All right, Connor too. I watch as the 4 boys jump out of the bus and head with Michael down the footpath. Connor is moving his hands animatedly, and I can tell he's super excited about this latest turn of events. In spite of this massive disaster, I find myself smiling that Michael picked him to go with this group. Right, who's going to sing with me? I turn to the rest of the bus. After a few renditions of key Blood Brothers songs, parents start arriving. Michael comes back and starts emptying the fuel into the bus. Even though the night is cold, at least it's not raining. No one has a go at me for driving a bus with low fuel. Instead, most of the parents thank me and some even offer to take me and Michael home. It's all right, honestly. I think we'll get the bus working again in no time. Finally, it's just me, Michael and Connor. Have you rang your parents? I ask. Yeah, Mum's on her way, he says. Michael rolls his eyes and the 2 of us stand shivering in our coats, willing a car to come round the corner. Thanks for organising the trip, miss, Connor says. It was good, wasn't it? I give a smile. A car pulls up and Connor jumps into the back. His mum shouts her thanks through the window and then they drive off. Great, we can go then, Michael says, clearly desperate. You sure you don't want me to drive? You're not insured without the county certificate, I tell him for the 100th time. We get back on the bus and thankfully the motor starts. We head back to the school and it feels like the middle of the night, although it's only 7 p.m. I could go to bed right now. Hot water bottle, cup of tea. So, do we need to tell David about this tomorrow? Michael interrupts my fantasy. You can if you want. I say it casually and look in the rearview mirror to avoid his gaze. I think it was all fine in the end, Michael concedes. I breathe an inward sigh of relief. You did well organising the trip, Michael continues. I'm thrown by this unexpected compliment and our eyes meet before I have to return my gaze to the 25 roundabouts to get to Widlock. At one point, Michael's phone rings. Who is it? I ask, although part of me already knows. David. Maybe one of the parents called him to complain. My mind goes into overdrive. Jen, they don't have his personal phone number, Michael points out. The phone is still ringing. Are you going to answer? I ask. The tension is killing me. The ringing cuts off. Looks like I missed it, Michael says, deadpan. I can't help grinning. This man. The phone then pings. He sent me a text now, Michael says. Everything okay? What are you going to say? My emotions can't take much more of this torture. All good, Michael says, tapping on his phone. There. Sent. With driving the bus and David breathing down our necks, this trip has taken a few years off my life. When we finally reach the school, the staff car park is empty apart from one car, a red Subaru. I park the bus and we clamber out. Michael slams the door with considerable emphasis. He strides towards the red car, then looks back at me. Where's your car? I walk to school. He frowns. Well, do you want a lift? I want to stand my ground and refuse him because he's annoying and I don't want to be in his debt any more than I already am since the elbow and face incident, the ice cream, and then forgetting to put fuel in the bus. But it's late and I'm cold. Sure. I get into the passenger side and try to sit up with confident posture, but I'm shaking with cold now. He grabs a blanket from the back seat and hands it to me without a word. I wrap it round myself, aware that I'm melting towards him again. It's the way that it smells of him. If he wasn't sitting right next to me, I would smother my face in it to breathe it in deeply. I try to focus on taking in every detail of his car. Unsurprisingly, it's immaculately clean. It looks brand new inside. So, where am I going? Michael's voice interrupts my crazed thoughts. To the shops. I give him directions, and it only takes 5 minutes to drive there. He surveys the area. Where do you live? In a flat, I reply, undoing my seatbelt and readying to open the door. Thank you for the lift. What, so you actually live this close to the school? He looks at me in disbelief. Yes. Don't you see kids everywhere, all the time, he says, horrified at the thought. No, that's not strictly true, but never mind. How long have you lived here? A year. I feel a jolt of pain as I remember moving in. That was a depressing day of my life. Do you even have a car? He scans the car park. I don't need one. It probably benefits society that you don't frequent the road space too often, he quips. That time when I offered to help you with the box, you should have just asked for a lift. His eyes have softened, but I don't want to be pitied. I made this choice for a reason. Thank you for the ice cream. I open the door and try to step out gracefully, then walk to the entrance of my flat. I feel myself blushing at the loud shouts of people going in and out of the chip shop and how drab and dingy my home looks. I should have just walked. I let myself in, and once I've closed the door, I hear his car engine roar to life as he drives off. I put the kettle on for my tea and hot water bottle, then a text from Katie reminds me. Thoughts of an early night vaporize into the steam. It's time to work on my application.